Imagine a funeral under the Brazilian sky, heavy with clouds mirroring the weight in Amara's heart. Not tears, at least not yet, just a dull ache that settles deep. Are you ready to step into a world where family ties are tested and a single letter can change everything? A procession of gleaming black cars snake through the cemetery gates, each a silent testament to the wealth of the deceased, Manuel Suarez, a titan of Brazilian industry. But amidst the sea of black suits and hushed whispers, Amara stood out, not just for her simple white dress amidst the extravagance, but because she was the only black woman in the Suarez family, and because, despite being raised as their daughter, she felt like an outsider looking in. Clutched in her hands was a bouquet of white lilies, a fragile offering of love and respect. Dona Carmen, her adoptive mother and Manuel's second wife, gave her arm a gentle squeeze. "Don't be sad, Amara. Your father is at peace now." Amara offered a tight nod, the words sticking in her throat. "Your father. Not our father." The subtle shift in language, the barely perceptible distance, it all spoke volumes. Since Manuel's illness, the already thin threads connecting Amara to the family seemed to fray further with each passing day. The priest's voice echoed through the somber atmosphere. If any loved ones wished to say a few words of farewell to Manuel Suarez, this was it. Amara had prepared, scribbling down a few heartfelt lines, a simple goodbye devoid of grand gestures or expectations. It was her last chance to show respect, her last bridge to cross. But would they let her speak? Did they even consider her a member of their family? As she approached the microphone, her hand trembling, a cold voice cut through the air. "That won't be necessary." Carlos, Manuel's eldest son and heir, rose from the front row. His tailored black suit exuded power, but the smile playing on his lips was as cold as the marble beneath their feet. "My father's funeral is no place for strangers to speak." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Amara froze, disbelief etched on her face. "Carlos, I just wanted to say goodbye to Papa," she whispered, the plea barely audible. Lucia, the younger daughter draped in a luxurious fur stole, scrutinized Amara from head to toe. "What could your words possibly be worth? Who do you even think you are?" Amara recoiled, but forced herself to meet Lucia's gaze. "I'm Manuel's daughter." The statement ignited the tension in the air. The elder guest, Donna Isabel Martins, one of family friends for a long time, furrowed her brow. "Daughter? Since we?" Carlos shrugged, a dismissive gesture that spoke volumes. "My father was a generous man. The adoption was merely an act of charity." Murmurs erupted. Judgmental eyes pierced Amara like icy daggers. She looked to Donna Carmen for support, the woman who once embraced her as her own, but Carmen merely lowered her head, avoiding Amara's desperate gaze. Silence descended, heavy and suffocating. Amara dropped her hand from the microphone. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath, amplifying her humiliation. "Please return to your seat," Carlos said, his tone laced with a condescending sweetness that was almost worse than his earlier hostility. Each step felt like walking on sharpened glass. A woman nearby, Maria Helena, Carlos's ex-girlfriend, muttered just loud enough to be heard, "An outsider pretending to be family. How shameful." Suppressed laughter rippled through the mourners. Amara felt her face burn, not with anger, but with the searing pain of public shame. Each snicker was a tiny ember consuming the last vestiges of her dignity. She reached her former seat and found it occupied by a cold cousin. Nobody offered her a place. She was invisible. Then Lucia arrived like a predator, her expression arrogant. "Your place is in the back," she sneered, gesturing towards the chairs reserved for the funeral staff. Amara swallowed hard. "But I grew up in that house. I shared meals at your table. I called him Papa, just like you." Lucia smiled, a chilling, dismissive curve of her lips. That was just a whim of his. Do you truly think he saw you as one of us? As his blood? Enough, Lucia! Carlos intervened sharply. Our father just died. Have some decency. Amara stared at the two people she once called brother and sister, now like towering shadows. Biting back tears, she retreated silently from the family section, heading towards the back where the employees sat. As she moved, a man's voice boomed clear. It was Mr. Bruno Almeida, Manuel's old business partner. That girl is so adopted that I thought she was one of the employees. Another woman, Mrs. Patricia Oliveira, dressed in noble purple, smiled scornfully. Though she is beautiful, it fits more to a funerary than a family. Both laughed slyly. Amara didn't look back. She well familiarized on how much those laughs could sting. When she sat next to the last line, her trembled hands were trembling. Laughter, as well with whispers, had no sign of stopping. Amara faced up to the portrait of her father. That man that once carried on his shoulders, took her to piano class, that would constantly say, "You're always going to be proud of my dads." By that point, she was nothing more than a shadow, a stain, an act of charity. She closed her eyes and tightened her closed fist with such force that the flower petals fell on the cold floor. While the ceremony ended, all the guests were ordered to move forward towards the internment sector. Amara's heels thumped against the stone path as she swiftly strode forward. Her destination the very row she had been forced to abandon, the place where she'd sat for countless birthday celebrations. Despite the sting of public humiliation, a flickering hope burned within that she could still bid farewell to the man she loved as a father. Her aim to hold out any emotional outburst asked to Donna Carmen, "Mother, can I seat here?" But before Donna Carmen could utter a response, she suddenly grabbed a wrist of Amara. It was Lucia's hand. She growled through her teeth, "She'll make a great scene at her father's funeral." Amara tried to explain, I just wanted to say goodbye to Papa, like everyone else." Undeterred, Lucia's hostility escalated. Her voice rose, drawing attention from the mourners. These seats were for the family. "You're not on the guest list. Find somewhere else to sit." Amara struggled to break free. "Let go of me, you're hurting me." Carlos stepped closer, his voice smooth but decisive. "Don't cause a scene, Amara. You've already made enough of a spectacle." Confused, Mrs. Almeida asked Carlos, "Something wrong?" And Carlos replies, smiling, "It's nothing more than a misunderstanding." "My sister," I have to get myself used to say, got really emotional. Amara knew that nobody would take her side. None of them. Lucia finally releases her grip, but before pointing the inferior zone to Siat, "It's there where you got to be with the employee. That's the place that suits you well." Her cousins began to echo the laughter as she walked down, while Sylvia joked, "I thought she was one of those models from Charity, or the reception girl of one of the Caribbean Amara turns over. By the main section everything stays the same." Donna Carmen still unmoved, avoiding the looks from Amara. After reaching out her destination, she sits with Claire, an old employee there for over 15 years. As they were prepared for the last minutes, the whispers turned louder to the point in which everyone could hear. "She gotta think is part of us. That gal probably thinks we invited her. It's because Mrs. Manuel wanted to expose her image." And so it goes. A waiter suddenly hands it a water bottle. On the note, he asks, "Are you okay?" She instantly replies that she is. The waiter tried to mention his feelings, but suddenly returns. The last lines were being say, "The father was a great man," said Carlos. "He showed me the meaning of a good and bright business. We all going to miss you, Pops," mentions Lucia in a fake emotional scream. As Lucia screams those fake tears and Carlos talks about honor, Amara feels every single cruel word like a physical blow. It's that feeling, isn't it? That gut-wrenching realization that you're utterly alone, even in a room full of family. They see her, but they don't see her. She's the black sheep. The Charity case. The outsider crashing a party where she was never truly invited, and it hurts. God, it hurts. The Saw's funeral became Amara's nightmare. Imagine trying to hold your head high, trying to remember the good times with her father, when every glance, every whisper is a dagger twisting in that emotional injury. Employee. The word echoes in her mind, a constant reminder of her place, or lack thereof, in this family. This leads directly to a painful question. How much can one person take? How much scorn, how much rejection, before something inside finally breaks? Look at Amara, reliving every moment of joy, of acceptance shown from her father Manuel. But consider this. Manuel is gone for good. Now picture this so-called Suarez family. Carlos stands as if he's performing a play, Lucia beside him, with her crocodile tears performing a melody that drives Amara nearly mad. All the fake words spoken seem to be for her, not Manuel. She feels this, and that reality is a silent punch. The snide remarks, the condescending looks, the blatant attempts to erase her existence. They all contribute to a suffocating sense of isolation. You already feel the black sister anguish, right? It's something like feeling like you are a ghost, a person that no one feels pity for, a burden for the host. And what happens if this keeps going? What if Amara continues to be treated like an outsider, a second-class citizen in her own family? The consequences go far beyond hurt feelings. It erodes self-worth. It breeds resentment. It can poison relationships, turning love into bitterness. Amara's pain is palpable. Each snicker from Sylvia and Inez, each cold shoulder from Donna Carmen, each dismissive word from Carlos and Lucia chips away at Amara's spirit. The last lines were being said. "The father was a great man," said Carlos. "He showed me the meaning of a good and bright business." "We all gonna miss you, Pops," mentions Lucia in a fake emotional scream. This insincere yet expected eulogy only opens the road to a deeper inspection on the past relationship of Mara Is and the Suarez family. Her isolation only increased given the fact of Lucia and Carlos' performance. Lucia's words hung in the air, thick and venomous. Blood of the blood. It echoed Mara's deepest fears, her gnawing sense of not belonging. The Suarez family, once a source of warmth and acceptance, now felt like a gilded cage, its doors slamming shut. Feels familiar? Like you're forever on the outside, peering in? You try so hard. You contort yourself. You even try to become what they want. But it never enough. Carlos, the golden boy, the heir apparent, solidified the rejection. No place for strangers here. Short, sharp, and brutal. Can you imagine the sting? This wasn't just about a funeral. It was about defining Mara's place in their world, or rather, her lack of one. It's like being erased. Someone tells you that your feelings and existence is just invalid. Ouch! This single sentence is the pivotal movement. It is when the puzzle pieces start creating an image. A crystal clear and cruel picture. A very painful image. What makes Carlos's rejection so devastating? 1. Public humiliation. Mara's attempt to offer a eulogy, a simple act of love and respect, was met with cold dismissal in front of everyone. It wasn't just a private rebuke, it was a public branding. Think about it. Every eye, every whisper amplified her sense of shame and otherness. That burning sensation you feel when all eyes are on you, and not in a good way. 2. Undermining identity. Carlos questioned Mara's very identity, labeling her a stranger. This wasn't just a personal attack, it was an attempt to rewrite her history, to invalidate the years she spent as part of the Suarez family. Bam! That's game changer. He's saying point blank, "You're not one of us." Imagine your whole identity being challenged and torn apart after years invested. 3. Carmen's silence. The silence of Donna Carmen, Mara's adoptive mother, and once a source of affection, was the ultimate betrayal. Her averted gaze spoke volumes, confirming Mara's fears of being expendable, a mere charity case. This is the truth. People often show their cards. Donna Carmen, who once called her my little darling girl, could not stand up, could not say nothing, could not validate Mara. It's the rug being pulled out from under you. 4. This is the inheritance of hurt. Carlos's rejection wasn't an isolated incident, rather the peak of a continuous belittlement. It was a pattern of microaggressions that eroded Mara's self-worth and sense of belonging. Each word, each glance, each exclusion added to the weight of her isolation. You tried to ignore it, to push it away. But it is always there. The consequences of this rejection are many. Mara's grief over her father's death is compounded by the pain of familial betrayal. Her sense of identity is shattered, and most importantly, her future become uncertain, her place in the world thrown into question. We think that we know our place just to be completely wrong. The rejection by who you considered family, the constant ignorance, it's a kind of pain only experienced when you were supposed to be loved, included, but you never were, and now things just got worse. That scene, it's etched in Mara's mind. Carlos's words, Lucia's gaze, they were weapons designed to cut deep. It wasn't just about a seat at the funeral, it was about belonging, about being seen as legitimate, as worthy. And in that moment she was stripped of everything. The pain of being rejected, of feeling like an outsider in your own family. It's a unique kind of suffering, isn't it? You're supposed to be loved, included, cherished. But instead, there's just indifference or worse, outright hostility. That's where Lucia steps in, embodying that cruelty with unsettling ease. "A mere whim of our father," she said. Can you imagine hearing that? After all those years, all those shared meals, all those memories, reduced to a whim. It minimizes Mara's entire existence, implying her presence in the Suarez family was nothing more than a passing fancy of Manuel's. That's a blow nobody prepares you for. Because the truth, nua e crua, is that Lucia weaponized Mara's deepest insecurity, using her father's status. It was calculated, cold-blooded. See, it wasn't just about inheritance, it's about invalidation. A constant barrage of subtle digs, dismissals, outright contempt. Where do you even buy clothes? Are you sure you are understanding this conversation? It's complicated. Small cuts that leave scars. When you're constantly made to feel like you don't measure up, you start to question yourself. Your confidence erodes, your sense of self crumbles. And what happens if this problem goes unresolved? What if Mara continues to internalize this negativity? The cost is immense. Self-doubt becomes a constant companion. Opportunities are missed because of a lack of confidence. Relationships suffer because you don't believe you're worthy of love. The weight of that doubt becomes heavier and heavier to carry. Nobody can live their best life feeling constantly down. This wasn't an isolated event. This was a pattern of exclusion, of belittlement that had slowly chipped away at Mara's self-worth. The fact that Lucia could deliver such a blow so casually is what is so devastating and cruel. This brings us to understanding that Lucia isn't just being mean. She's defending what she perceives as her territory. She is protecting what she believes is rightfully hers by diminishing Mara. And that, Veja Bem, reveals a level of calculation that's truly chilling. The casual cruelty, underpinned by a deep-seated insecurity from Lucia, is really the core of the problem here. The fact is, Lucia's words and actions are revealing more about herself and her fears than they are about Mara. Lucia's words hang in the air, a chilling echo of the casual cruelty Mara has endured for so long. It's a constant chipping away, isn't it? This slow erosion of your sense of belonging, like tiny whispers, almost imperceptible at first. But those whispers soon transform into a deafening roar of "you don't belong." Lucia's calculated cruelty, Her blatant attempt to publicly shame Mara at her own father's funeral, it's breathtaking in its audacity, or perhaps its insecurity. Think about it, projecting her own sense of inadequacy onto Mara. It's not really about Mara, is it? It's about Lucia's own fear that she's not enough, that she needs to tear down everything in her path to feel validated. This leads directly into what feels like absolute social exile. The cemetery is a place for mourning, reflection, for connection. But for Mara, it's a stage, a platform for public shaming and whispered insults, like a bad comedy show. Every eye is on her, judging, questioning, dissecting her belonging. See, everyone is wondering, what is she doing here? The casual observer whispers. Friends of the family speculate in hushed tones. You can almost see the words forming. She doesn't belong, she's just different. The weight of those whispers is crushing. They're not just words, they're physical blows, each one chipping away at Mara's already fragile sense of self-worth. The heat rises to her cheeks. The faces blur. It is a visceral isolation that hits straight to the core. It is an emotional wound that cannot be easily cured, the sheer gut-wrenching feeling of not belonging. And Carmen? Her own adopted mother, the woman who should be her anchor, her shield. Her head is down, avoiding eye contact. If you can't even count on your own mother, the silence screams. It's an unbearable betrayal. See, Mara's hope, like a fragile bird, dies a little. This isn't just about a funeral. It's about a lifetime of subtle and not so subtle rejection culminating in this moment. A moment designed to make Mara feel like the ultimate outsider. Carlos and Lucia's cruelty stings, but Carmen's silence, that vehemence, is deafening. This is really the heart of Mara's challenge, to feel seen, to be valued, but instead finding herself isolated, exposed and ostracized in a moment of profound grief. Nobody tells you that grief makes existing problems infinitely worse, so this is about so much more than just a funeral. This is about identity, love, and the crushing disappointment of unmet expectations. Following Mara's expulsion and the stinging humiliation, a heavy silence descended. This silence wasn't merely the absence of sound, it was Carmen's silence. A suffocating blanket of abandonment woven from years of fractured affection and unspoken insecurities. It's that soul-crushing moment when someone you expect to stand up for you just doesn't. The expectation hangs in the air, thick and heavy, then collapses into a pit of disappointment. Have you ever felt that sting? That sense of utter betrayal when you needed someone, anyone, and were met with nothing? This isn't just about a family squabble at a funeral, it's about a lifetime of quiet rejections culminating in this one explosively public display. And that's Carmen's role here. She does absolutely nothing. A mother's abandonment. A slow, quiet burn that leaves scars deeper than any shouted insult. She, who once held Mara close, whispering promises of unwavering love, now shrinks back, afraid to risk the social standing of her true family. It's a stark contrast to the initial narrative of adoption and acceptance. It has a shift that highlights the insidious nature of prejudice and the silent complicity that allows it to thrive. Nobody tells you how a parent's silence can be louder than any scream. The implications are devastating. Mara's pain is amplified, her sense of belonging shattered. She is isolated, not just by the cruelty of her step-siblings, but by the absence of her mother's support. Carmen's choice becomes a defining moment, solidifying Mara's outsider status and reopening deep wounds of self-doubt and worthlessness. Does Mara even belong anywhere? The answer, in this moment, feels like a resounding no. Picture this. Mara, a young girl running to Carmen after a playground scuffle, seeking comfort and reassurance. Now, juxtapose that with this scene at the cemetery. The same girl, now a woman, utterly alone, her eyes pleading for acknowledgement, for even a shred of maternal protection. Carmen looks down, The pain is visible, but she makes a calculated choice. And this is the cruelest cut of all. Not the snide remarks, the outright rejection, but the silence of the one person who, perhaps naively, Mara still hoped would see her, value her, love her unconditionally. Without Carmen's support, Mara has no anchor. She is adrift in a sea of hostility, utterly vulnerable and exposed. The weight of years of rejection, of feeling like an outsider, crashes down on her. The consequences could be truly devastating. This experience is the culmination of a lifetime of feeling displaced and unwanted, potentially leading to long-term emotional and psychological damage. In short, this silence isn't just a quiet moment. It's a game changer. And that silence, that wasn't just a quiet moment. It signaled the shattering of Mara's world. It was a game changer, and it leads us directly to Carlos's eulogy, a speech that should have been a tribute, a celebration of a life lived. Instead, it became a stage for tradition, blood ties, and the cruel exclusion of Mara. Think about it. Funerals are supposed to be about remembrance, about honoring the deceased. But what happens when those closest to the departed use the occasion to reinforce divisions, to draw lines in the sand? That's the uncomfortable reality we're facing here. This eulogy wasn't about Manuel. It was about solidifying Carlos's power and dismissing Mara's very existence within the family structure. Carlos steps up to the microphone, perfectly tailored suit and all. And what does he deliver? A carefully crafted speech emphasizing loyalty to tradition. Those powerful words aren't accidental. They are coded directives. He speaks of honor and legacy, concepts designed to exclude someone like Mara, who lacks the right blood. This is the truth, plain and simple. He's subtly telling everyone, and Mara, that she does not belong, never truly did. Then Lucia chimes in, turning the knife. Papai taught us to value true blood ties. Ouch, the dagger plunges deeper. It is crucial to grasp the full meaning of Lucia's words. It's a calculated move to publicly shame Mara. Lucia is not mourning a loss. She is protecting her inheritance. And those blood ties she speaks of, they're not just about family. They're about money, power, and status. But there's more. The eulogy becomes an echo chamber, repeating the societal emphasis on blood relations. Family photos, reunions, inheritance, all these things often prioritize those with biological links, leaving adopted individuals in the shadows. You see, this emphasis isn't just a personal issue for Mara, it represents a broader problem. Society often struggles to truly integrate adopted individuals, and that emphasis causes damage. Imagine for a moment a world where love, not blood, defines family. That's the world Manuel tried to create for Mara. Yet Carlos and Lucia are actively destroying that vision right there at Manuel's own funeral. The tragedy isn't just the death of Manuel, it's the death of the inclusive ideal he represented. Because what happens when society glorifies blood ties above all else? People like Mara become invisible. Their contributions are erased, their feelings dismissed. They start questioning their own worth. This isn't just about Mara. It's about anyone who has felt like an outsider, anyone who has been marginalized for not fitting the traditional mold. This section serves as the crucial turning point. Carlos and Lucia's actions solidify Mara's outsider status. The emotional damage inflicted here will influence every action Mara takes from this point forward. Everything is on the precipice of total collapse, or a most explosive revelation. Prepare yourselves. The music began, a somber melody filling the cemetery as Carlos concluded his eulogy, a polished performance built on lies and exclusion. Mara sat rigid, the employee section feeling miles away from the family she thought she belonged to. The biting whispers still stung, each word a tiny cut, reminding her of her outsider status. Did she really believe she was part of the Suarez family? After today, could anyone blame her for having doubts? All eyes were glued to the cortege. Even Gyro, the catering staff member, risked a sideways glance at Mara. He remembered climbing trees with her in the sprawling gardens of the Soares mansion, sharing stolen sweets from the kitchen. She felt untouchable now, surrounded by an invisible force field of shame and resentment. She imagined herself fading away, becoming just another nameless face in the crowd. But then, a break in the clouds. Call it luck, chance, or divine intervention. As the pallbearers began maneuvering the casket towards the burial plot, and as the orchestrated sniffling from Lucia reached a crescendo, Jairo did something unexpected. Maybe it was the raw injustice of the scene. Maybe it was the memory of Mara's infectious laughter echoing through the years. Whatever the reason, he defied the unspoken social code. He moved, just a few steps, insignificant to most, yet a monumental act of defiance within the suffocating atmosphere of the funeral. He carefully handed Mara a small bottle of water. "Señorita Amara," he murmured so quietly to be heard over the growing chorus of orchestrated emotion. "It's a hot day. Para se refrescar." To refresh yourself. That was it. That's all he said. In that moment, though, Gyro offered Mara something no one else did. Recognition. Basic human kindness. He acknowledged her presence, not as an intruder or an inconvenience, but as a person deserving of simple comfort. Think about it. What did it cost him? Not a thing. Yet, in that small jest, he showed a level of bravery that the so-called family lacked. It was a fleeting moment, a tiny spark of light in a sea of darkness, but that spark was enough to let her recall who she was. Of course, Carlos's eagle eyes spotted Jairo's actions immediately. His face contorted into a mask of barely suppressed rage. He shot a laser beam glare at Jairo. Gyro, visibly intimidated, quickly retreated back to his station, head bowed. The moment was over. Still, the seed had been planted. That small act of compassion, however insignificant it seemed, gave Mara a much-needed lifeline. In what felt like the lowest moment of her life, someone saw her, someone cared, someone dared to show it, even at personal risk. More than that, it reaffirmed that decency and connection are far stronger than blood ties alone, and these ties would mean everything in the upcoming trials. The warmth from the recognition would carry her through the rest of the day, preparing her for the events to come. Remember, Gyro, he will be important later. His action, almost unnoticeable, would prove more important than any of the carefully crafted words spoken at Manuel's funeral. And these ties would mean everything in the upcoming trials. The warmth from the recognition would carry her through the rest of the day, preparing her for the events to come. Remember, Gyro, he will be important later. His action, almost unnoticeable, would prove more important than any of the carefully crafted words spoken at Manuel's funeral. But there was a detail, a secret, carefully hidden away, about to explode into Mara's life. A detail that would make everything that happened at the funeral seem like a rehearsal. It all begins with a letter. Days turned into weeks after the funeral. Mara tried to piece her life back together, a life now even more solitary than before. But one afternoon, a stern-looking lawyer arrived at her doorstep. He carried with him a sealed envelope, heavy with destiny. "Miss Mara Suarez?" he inquired, his voice devoid of warmth. "I have been instructed to deliver this to you. It's from your adoptive father, Manuel Suarez. Imagine that after all the public humiliation, after being treated like an outsider, a letter arrives from the grave. But this was no ordinary farewell note. This letter was Manuel's final act, a meticulously planned maneuver to right the wrongs he perceived within his family. What was inside? Why was there a need to deliver it after his death? These questions, swirling in Mara's mind, amplified the weight of the envelope in her trembling hands. It was like holding a ticking time bomb filled with family secrets. The letter detailed a shocking truth. It stated that Mara was not simply an adopted child out of charity. The truth: Manuel had known Mara since birth because he was her biological father. It turns out, long before he married Donna Carmen, Manuel had a brief relationship with Mara's mother, a woman he deeply cared for but could not marry due to family pressures. He swore to always watch over Mara. When her mother passed, Manuel ensured Mara was adopted into their family, promising to love and provide for her always, albeit concealing the full truth to protect everyone involved. This changes everything, right? But this isn't all, folks. The letter continues, revealing a final devastating twist. Manuel, aware of his children's prejudice and greed, had secretly amended his will. He left the majority of his estate, not to Carlos or Lucia, but to Mara. His reasoning was simple. He knew Mara, having faced adversity her entire life, would use the inheritance responsibly and ethically. The letter included detailed instructions for Mara to claim her rightful inheritance, instructions designed to circumvent any legal challenges from Carlos and Lucia. He even included evidence, DNA confirmation acquired discreetly, proving his paternity. Imagine the shock. Complete and utter disbelief. But here's the ultimate kicker. Manuel also detailed expectations for Mara to use the funds to support charitable causes and to create opportunities for marginalized communities, the ultimate checkmate to Carlos and Lucia's greed. He wanted his wealth to be a game-changer for good. This single letter flips the script. Mara, the outcast, the forgotten sister, is now the key to the entire Soares legacy. Mara watched the hearse carrying Manuel's body disappear beyond the cemetery gates. The letter hidden in her purse felt heavier than any stone. It confirmed what she had always suspected. Manuel Soares was her biological father. The truth, explosive and life-altering, threatened to consume her. Lucia's venomous words echoed in her mind. Our bloodline. What would they say now? That rejection, that blatant public humiliation, and the knowledge of Manuel's secret will, it all hit her hard. Think about it. 1 minute you're an outcast, the next you hold the keys to a legacy built on generations of wealth and influence. It's surreal. But let's quickly recap the critical turning points leading to this moment. A hidden heritage revealed at the most unexpected time, a desperate attempt by Carlos and Lucia to maintain control, and Manuel's ultimate plan to rewrite his family's story by entrusting his wealth to Mara, the daughter he cherished but could never publicly acknowledge. Until now. The core question shifts now from who is Mara and to what will Mara do. The letter doesn't just reveal a truth, it presents an opportunity. It's about much more than just money. It's about social impact. It's about correcting injustice and giving voice to the voiceless. Imagine how it will feel, knowing that your actions could reshape communities, provide education, offer opportunities where there were none, and that you could become a catalyst for significant and lasting change. Imagine if you had the resources to fund research into diseases that disproportionately affect marginalized communities, to create scholarships for underprivileged students, or to support initiatives that promote environmental sustainability in underserved areas. Imagine leaving a legacy that resonates far beyond your own life, creating a ripple effect of positive change that impacts generations to come. Which brings us to a key moment where choices must be made. Here's what I want you to do right now. Hit that subscribe button. No, seriously, click it. Now. Don't wait. Why? Because we're about to dive deep into what Mara decides to do with this newfound power and how it will impact everyone involved. And also get exclusive behind-the-scenes content where we analyze the power dynamics at play within the Soares family, providing insights on how these types of situations can occur in real life. Plus, we are giving away free ebooks to the first 50 people to subscribe to our channel. but subscribing is only the beginning. What are your thoughts on this? Drop a comment below right now and answer this question. If you were in Mara's shoes, what one thing would you do first with this inheritance to make the biggest impact? Let me know in the comments below. What specific projects or organizations come to your mind? The most thoughtful comments will be featured in our next video. Imagine the possibilities. Also, smash that like button if you want to see Mara bring Carlos and Lucia to their knees. Now, before you go, here's a sneak peek. We're not just ending the story here. In the next episode, we're unraveling the legal battles, the emotional confrontations, and the unforeseen alliances that emerge as a result of Manuel's will. We'll examine the ethical dilemmas Mara faces, exploring the complexities of wealth, privilege, and responsibility. Imagine the twists and turns ahead. The next video reveals the shocking discovery Mara unveils when digging into the family's past. Something far darker than anyone suspected, completely changing the stakes of the game. It will be juicy, because this story isn't just about a letter, a will, or an inheritance. It's about the enduring power of truth, the transformative potential of compassion, and the unwavering strength to rise above adversity. This is a stark reminder that family isn't always blood. It is about those who fight for you,